Hello. Firstly, I would like to thank all my friends and subscribers. It's been fun producing these videos. Secondly, I have titled this video, Evolution is Simply Biology. When I was at school, we had two fields of biology, one being human biology and the other being ecology. Now, I much more enjoyed the human biology side for obvious reasons, but for the ecology side, it's okay, but didn't really appreciate sort of plant life at that moment in time. I mean, photosynthesis and stuff like that, the basics, then yeah, it's okay. But how photosynthesis makes sugar and what's new sunlight and oxygen, etc. But yeah, it's not something I really loved doing at school, to be fair. That's probably why a lot of people don't actually question ecology, but they question the whole foundation of human biology by denying evolution. There's a lot of misguided information out there in the public eye. When I got a publication recently, I published a video called Bad News. The misconception of evolution and the theory behind it that supports the facts that organisms do in fact evolve from one strain to another, and obviously over time those organisms will change the cells in all of us, and we pass down to generation to generation. It's as obvious as anything really when you look at that. There are there's obviously other theories around evolution, different processes that might help understand our theory a bit more, but it's not at all in question of how the process works. It's more, it may have more than one function, and I have explained that to quite a few people on here, that it's not just one single rule or one law of evolution that drives the mechanism of any species. So I'm going to go through a small presentation and I'll explain to you something I've basically written. And I'll go through that with you and hope you enjoy it. Thank you for watching. Oz.
Two great scientists standing side by side, one being Charles Darwin and the other Alfred Russel Wallace, who both in turn produced the same theory of evolution by natural selection. You see, to biologists, evolution is the governing body of biology, to which the evolutionary process that drives all living things have developed from a primitive organism through changes occurring over billions of years, or 3 to be precise, a progression that includes the most advanced animals and plants. Biologists also agree that all living things arose from a long history of changes shaped by physical and chemical processes that are still taking place today. It is quite plausible that all organisms can be traced back to the origins of life from inanimate matter, or at least it's a great hypothesis. I have said there's a dotted line between life, the origin of life, and evolution, but evolution doesn't really count for origins of life. So I want to stop the misconception between the two. But if we look at the most direct proof of evolution that is furnished by the science of genetics, if you look at the Human Genome Projects, i.e. Craig Venter's work, you've got paleontology, the study of life in the past through the fossil remains or impressions that are usually found in rocks. But even if we had no fossils, so 0 fossils at our arsenal, the evidence for evolution comes from comparative studies of living animals and plants, including their structure. If you look at comparative anatomy, biochemistry, embryology, geology, geographical distribution, there's been approximately 2 million different species of organisms are now living, but it is estimated that about 99% of the species that have ever lived are now extinct, and some 2 billion species have evolved during the past 600 million years. Changes occur in living organisms that serve to increase their adaptability or potential to survive and reproduce. Let's face it, sex drives everything, and in the face of changing environments, evolution apparently has no built-in direction or foreordained purpose. A given kind of organism may evolve only when it occurs in a variety of forms differing in hereditary characteristics or traits that are passed on from parent to offspring. Purely by chance, some of the varieties prove to be ill adapted to their current environment and thus disappear, whereas others prove to be adaptive and then their numbers increase. The elimination of the unfit, or the survival of the fittest, also known as natural selection, because it is nature that discards or favours a particular variant. Basically, evolution takes place only when natural selection operates on a population of organisms containing diverse inheritable forms. Recently, natural selection was demonstrated by scientists who observed guppies change their reproductive behaviour over an 11-year period in direct response to being transferred to a new environment that had different predators. Normally, natural selection and recombination work jointly within an individual species to actively maintain a single version of genes that perform critical functions or that give organisms a competitive advantage. Recent analysis shows us genes that have coexisted for millions of years, which scientists conclude is convincing evidence that natural selection actually maintains different genes at the same time. This is now known as balancing selection. This just demonstrates that some scientists may have underestimated the power of natural selection. If only Charles Darwin realised what he truly uncovered with his theory of natural selection, he'd be amazed with what we know now. Conclusion. In our time, the theory of evolution that is backed up by the massive amount of evidence and is in fact the central concept of biology, and it is hard to comprehend that some countries still don't understand or wish to ignore, sorry guys, no offence, what evolution is all about. It is true, evolution is just a certain gradual change or changes that took place and is currently being evolved in all living beings, and that all life are related. The best two theorems are natural selection and genetic drift that drive the evolutionary frequency at a slow rate or sometimes at a fast rate depending on the organism, habitat, environment. The only new ideas that have changed about evolution is the notion that it is guided to subsequently higher complexity, but instead the survival of the fittest that sometimes might need to obtain superiority over other creatures by adapting properly to its environment. Complexity mostly ensures over competitors, but it isn't always the answer. Indeed, you only need to stop and think about how lucky you are to form part of a species that has come to explore the concept of its own origin and magnificent development. The only question now left to answer is the universality of evolution, on how life was sparked on this very planet. Was it by 1, space rock, or 2, inanimate matter? Both of these are great hypotheses. More evidence is coming to light with tests being run in laboratories to support both of these hypotheses, and will we get the evidence? One day we will. If life was ever found on other planets, which surely it will be, we will come to the conclusion that evolution is responsible for all development of alien beings, and as we share common ancestry, they will too. Evolution is a fantastic journey for life, some species being of pure beauty, and some cruel. However, evolution is indeed simply biology, which is nature's best gift to life. Thanks for watching. Lots.